very much, Felix Masekesa, for joining us in this session where we are having a discussion on digital rights in Southern Africa. So just to give a brief background, this discussion is part of a project that the Center for Human Rights has been running since the beginning of 2022, where we are looking at digital rights in Southern Africa. So the project started off with developing a report which looks at the landscape of digital rights in the sub-region, and that report was launched in August 2022. Basically, the report spotlights the legal framework that we have which touches on digital rights, which, for example, is the Declaration of Principles on Freedom of Expression and Access to Information in Africa. We also have some of the model laws that have been adopted in the SADC region on data protection, on computer crimes. We also looked at the resolutions that have been adopted by the UN and also by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights to advance the agenda of digital rights in Southern Africa. And we also scanned the situation in Southern African countries as well, and looked at especially the new laws that are coming up on cybersecurity, on cyber law, on data protection, on surveillance, misinformation and disinformation, and also the laws that touch on that have an impact on freedom of expression, the right to privacy, and others as well. And the report also looks at vulnerable and marginalized groups as they interact with digital technologies in the sub-region. So that report, after it was launched, the project then moved on to the interactive sessions that we had with specific groups, which are the civil society, the National Human Rights Institutions, offices of the Ombudsman, and also government officials. And we are privileged today to have you, Felix, here as part of those that attended the session on digital rights, where we were trying to engage the stakeholders on where we are and what can be done to advance digital rights in the sub-region. So welcome, Felix, as we have this conversation today where we want to reflect on your understanding of this particular area, which is still an emerging area in Southern Africa, but we also want to get that from the perspective of Malawi. We'll start off with you introducing yourself. Who is Felix? Where do you work? What does your organization do?
All right, thank you very much. To start with, I would like to say I am Felix Masekesa, working as a Deputy Director of Information, Documentation and Civic Education in the Office of the Ombudsman, Malawi. If we are to talk about my understanding of the digital rights, this is about access to internet and telecommunication for the purposes of getting information, for making informed decisions, sharing information with others, as well as just knowing what is current and going around one's community, society, country, and even global developments. That's how I take digital rights.
So thank you, Felix, for that and your reflections on your understanding of digital rights. I see you mentioned a lot around access to information, which is a very good thing. But I just want to understand, when we are looking at internet itself, do you think access to internet should be considered a human right, like the manner in which we look at freedom of expression?
Yes, it is. It is. There's a lot that goes on internet, and if you come in with some rights which are right to participation, access to information, internet plays a big role. Internet is growing. As of now, we can look at internet as a growing platform for access to information, as I said. Even freedom of association Internet is a repository of information and more life-saving and developmental information, including about the democracy. Issues of democracy are available on the internet. Issues of decision-making are available on the internet. Talk of economical issues, you know. With this, internet is a human right issue. Nobody can run away from that. Thank you.
Yes, Alex, I see even the passion as you as you are responding and saying internet is a very big thing. And you mentioned issues of participation and how we can access development information related to democracy. So I can safely say that it is your perspective that internet should be considered a human right. And with all this importance of internet that you are speaking to, and when we are looking at the situation in Malawi, what is the current status of access to the internet? Just looking at Malawi.
If I can be realistic, access to the internet is low, and the infrastructure for the internet is not well developed. Not more than 20% of the population has access to the internet. This implies that the digital divide is high in Malawi, if I can be realistic. Thank you.
So in a nutshell, Malawi still has a very long way to go as far as internet is concerned. So in this whole scenario that you painted of Malawi, what then do you think is the responsibility of the state when you are looking at access to internet?
Yeah, I'm sure the state has to do more because we have a special ministry for issues of information. Minister of Information. We have the whole ministry which is getting money from the public. And this responsibility of the state is to provide that encouraging environment for access to the internet and protecting citizens from abuse or misuse of the internet without necessarily restrict access and the use of the internet. This including providing or supporting development of ICT infrastructure, enacting laws which are promoting access and use of the internet, repealing laws which restrict or discourage access to the internet, as well as putting robust mechanism for ensuring affordable internet access and protecting internet users. We have seen people being arrested temporarily. Their cases aren't going far. People should not have fear to use the internet. Thank you.
I think that's a very good a reflection of how the state responsibility should be like, and I like the fact that you are also raising some of the practical experiences that hinder access to the internet, such as existing laws that you say should be repealed, and also there is also behavior such as arrests of individuals for using the internet. So back to the question around access as well, and you mentioned in your earlier reflection the issue of the digital divide, and we know that it's quite a big challenge when you look at across the continent. You've just touched it on a little bit, but I just want you to speak more to it and tell us how it manifests in Malawi, especially when you are generally, but also especially when you are looking at vulnerable and marginalized groups such as children, such as women, or rural communities or persons with disabilities. Just take us through the experience in Malawi.
In our situation here in Malawi, I don't think women and the rural communities have a good percentage of access to information, and which matters most. And in some cases, they are not aware on what is happening. This this result is people with limited information who do not participate in critical debates, economical opportunities. There are a lot of factors to that. Culturally, in a house where wife, husband, children, it will be only a husband maybe having a phone, and that phone has no access to internet. You may have children who are just growing the way they are growing. They don't even know importance of internet. And this was clearly shown during the COVID-19 situation in Malawi, where government said sent kids home, thinking that they will be getting education rights through the phones, through internet. Very few got that because they had no access to information. They had no access to internet. Very few did not understand, I mean, very few understood the way internet works. If you go deeper and look at the poverty levels in Malawi, you are saying this kid is struggling to get fees for his or her education. And we send him or her home to say she should be learning through internet. It wasn't easy. So the same comes to people with disabilities. I don't think many institutions, it's now that people are now coming to be conscious to say, how do we handle people with disabilities? Can we give them the gadgets they need? You know, these gadgets are quite expensive. And not many are able to access internet. What about the friends who are using Braille? Are gadgets user-friendly? So you're going to see all these factors are coming in. So I can say it's accessible in the rural areas and people living with disability. And women culturally are being bad in some ways. Women in town, they have the courage to say, I want to have a phone, which I have internet, I can have WhatsApp, I can have whatever you are talking about, but not in our local villages. Thank you.
So yes, indeed, you know, the situation is quite dire as you painted. And you know, I can imagine the cost even for assistive devices that are used by persons with disabilities to access the internet, and also for women as well. So I just want to take to, I mean, based on what you've just said, what then becomes the impact of this digital divide on these groups with regards to their public participation and, you know, financial inclusion? We know now that, you know, there's mobile money, people do business online and that. So how does the digital divide affect these particular groups?
It just says those who do not have internet have been excluded from discussions which matters, and they are not in the position to have financial information which will help them financially, and do not even have platforms which could help them business. They are also excluded from gains from social media, such as YouTube. You know, such when you just talked about such as WhatsApp. Even if they want to participate in farming, a lot of information is coming to people, to the farmers through internet. So they're not part and parcel of that. They are getting it second-hand information. Thank you.
So there's an issue of exclusion really that you are mentioning, and you know, it's not, it's something that you are saying it touches on even the basics, such as getting information around agriculture, you know, which is our form of livelihood in most societies in Africa, and you know, not having the internet and these technologies excludes somebody completely or partially from this, and then they end up not getting the right information. So looking at children, you touched on children a little bit earlier, and when you're looking at how they exist in the online space, do you think children have the adequate protection? We know that there are challenges that children face. And do you think there is adequate protection for children as they interact with the online space? And what, in your view, should be done to guarantee the protection of children online?
I feel there is still a need to strengthen monitoring mechanisms. Pictures of children which are not in best interest of the children should be circulated on the social media. I'm sure you can do more on this one. Our kids these days are cleverer than our parents themselves. So this is, I think, a bit critical in the sense that kids are able to manipulate even the Go TV. You find you're watching football, at one point you see a film beaming there, which was set by the kids, and which most parents maybe don't know how to do that. So there's I think there's a need to really strengthening the monitoring mechanisms to avoid affecting our children. Thank you.
So just to a continuation from just where you left, like these monitoring mechanisms, if you look at the situation in Malawi, whom do you think should take the lead in addressing the issue?
I think the service providers should help together with the government, coming up with policies which are strict, and also, as I said, the ministries. There's one ministry responsible for that. We have one human rights commission, which is in charge of the rights in Malawi. I'm sure they need to work hand in hand to ensure that our children are protected. Sometimes it's a question of putting deliberate rules, which can just encourage the parents to move forward, and parents to be active, proactive in protecting the children. At the same time, not denying them their rights.
But do parents have the know-how to actually know how to, do they have the capacity or the knowledge to protect children online?
It's why I'm saying the ministry responsible should do more of sensitization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should do more of the sensitization to let the parents know, to empower the parents so that they can do what they are supposed to do. They can do what they are supposed to do, not just let it free for all. Mm-hmm. That can be the right approach.
Okay, so yes, there's the issue of sensitization, and you're saying there is a gap around that area, and the responsible authorities should take the lead in sensitizing parents so that they have the capacity. But yes, going back to issues of access, we see that in different countries on the continent, there have been internet shutdowns, there have been network disruptions, and all these other manner of hindrances to access. So I just want to get a sense of your view around shutting down internet or slowing down internet, or just these deliberate attempts to hinder the public from accessing the internet, especially this during the time of elections. Some say during an exam time, or when there's a public protest, something like that.
Yes, the recorded several internet shutdowns have infringed the digital rights of the people, thus depriving them useful information to the public. Thank you.
Yes, you're saying they deprive the public of information. So you are of the view that internet shutdown should not at all be an option, or do you think that there should be circumstances where they can be considered?
Yeah, already you have information about, let's say, agriculture, and somebody is sharing that on the TV. Your TV is shut down. You have something on the internet. You have no power. You have something, WhatsApp going on. If you don't have any electricity in your area, what shall that mean? It means even your gadgets cannot take part in whatever is going on. We are talking of like solar system. How many people can manage a solar system? So when I talk about government doing more, there's a need to look into these issues seriously and considering adding more budgets to alleviate the situation. Thank you.
Okay, so you've spoken of the role of the government. You've spoken of what it should do in terms of the laws and sensitization and all that. And you come from the office of the ombudsman, and I think also this office should have a role. What do you think? What can be the role of the office of the ombudsman in advancing digital rights in Malawi? I believe there is space for everybody, but I just want you to articulate what you think can be the role, or what is already happening, if already the office has started working on this area. If it has not, what do you think can be the role?
Office of the Ombudsman as an advocating office, I would say starting point should be advocating for the reforms, ICT infrastructure, making internet more affordable, robust access to internet monitoring mechanisms, as well as empowering the public on proper and effective usage of the internet. In addition, working hand in hand with the commissions like the Malawi Human Rights Commission, 3 weeks ago, in the paper, we noted that the Malawi Human Rights Commission was complaining about having inadequate funds to ensure access to information, to ensure digital rights are being enjoyed by many. Like that one is a starting point where, as an office, we can come in and say, if they are complaining in the paper, it means one entity is not doing what they are supposed to do. I'll just read out the section 123 of the Constitution of Malawi, what it says about Office of the Ombudsman, which I feel we can easily enter and help. The office, section 123, the Office of the Ombudsman may investigate any and all cases where it is alleged that a person has suffered injustice and it does not appear that there is any remedy reasonably available by way of proceedings in a court or by way of appeal from a court, or where there is no other practical remedy. Where do we expect people with a disability having remedies? Where do we expect a woman in the village in Malawi to find a remedy? Where do we expect people suffering this poverty in Malawi to find the remedies? If they go to courts, it will be quite expensive. So if the ministry or any institution in Malawi is failing to do this, this is a grave injustice, which office has to come in. So I see with our mandate, we can help, we can push, especially making sure that those ministry, that ministry, that commission is doing what it's supposed to do, as it is one of the functions of the Office of the Ombudsman. in Malawi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you actually see an important role that the Office of the Ombudsman can actually play in advancing digital rights. But I want to understand, because some of these oversight institutions that we see on the continent, they complain of being under-resourced. So do you think the Office of the Ombudsman, as it currently stands, has the financial and human resources to advance this cause?
We have the opportunity here in Malawi, like the Ombudsman is a commissioner in the Malawi Human Rights Commission. So I'm sure on that line, she can use the opportunity. There's a platform for her. What I feel most needed thing is to write kind of a proposal to her so that she can take it up when she goes for the meetings. That's another way. At the same time, she has the powers, as Ombudsman, she has the powers of inviting even the minister just to have a one-on-one talk. From there, the minister itself should be able to allocate funds. For now, we are having funds allocation in March, which is in 2 months from now. If we start now, I'm sure some funds can be generated by the ministers. That will be part of their job. And on our side also, I just think I can volunteer to take a role of writing a short proposal, which she can take forward. Because for me, I see we are not doing much for the people in the village. Thank you.
So in this regard, then are we likely to see, for example, the strategic plan of
Yes.
the Office of the Ombudsman actually having a digital rights component to it?
Yes, actually, our strategic plan, which we launched last week, Monday, there's a component of involving women, people living with disability. We can use it through that. And fortunately, it's under my division, which I'm heading. So I'm sure I have the opportunity of how we can mainstream such issues in that.
So yes, thank you so much. I like the commitment into the work of advancing digital rights in Malawi. That is very encouraging. So as we close our conversation, do you have any other remarks that you want to share with us around the issue of digital rights in Malawi, or just in general? What you wish to see, or any other reflection?
I think my general comments will be like, it's a fact. We are in a digital environment, whether we like it or not. We can see even with offices, now they are struggling just because of digital world. People are able to communicate in 2 minutes. People are able to communicate in 2 seconds. Letters, in some cases, in my case, I stopped issues of letters some time back. Now, it is a reality. We are in this world, and this world is growing in as far as digital platforms are concerned. As such, we need to check as a continent, what are our priorities? And we should also review what goes much in the internet platforms. There's a lot going on. Somebody like now is not in Qatar, but is able to know which teams are playing this evening. is able to know which teams won the games yesterday, is able to know what is going on. Like here in Malawi, in the past, we could not even see the issues of corruption in the newspapers. Today, you do the corruption today, tomorrow is in the paper, tomorrow is in the on website, tomorrow is, and the people, these are the issues which will help people to say, is this person doing this? Can I vote for him as an MP? Can I vote for him as a ward councillor? Can I vote? It comes back to what we're talking about, making this informed decision. So there's a lot going on the internet. So for me, I think the governments, the institutions, we need to realign our thinking in line with what is going on. Our kids everywhere, phones, whatever, different gadgets. So we don't run away from that. We need to take it head on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Felix. I think your main issue here is that the digital age is with us and it's not going anywhere. And
No.
that's being the reality. We should do the necessary, whether it's developing the necessary laws and the policies, raising the necessary awareness, creating the relevant institutions, having the right personnel to advance the agenda, but we should take up the necessary measures in response to the situation that we find ourselves in. So once again, Felix, thank you very much for this very important reflections that you have shared with us on the digital rights situation as you reflected it from the perspective of Malawi, but also touching from the perspective of Africa as a continent. Thank you so much for your time.